All right, Shalom. All praises, all glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostle and the elders of Great Millstone. And peace and blessings to the elect. Brother Tazai one here with uh, just a quick article, some information I want to go into, dealing with the persecution to come for us brothers here that teach this word, for us Israelites, okay? Mainly for the brothers here at Great Millstone, and basically how Esau is once again, okay, up to no good with his dastardly deeds, okay, to basically push out unrighteous decrees to come against brothers, okay? And according to the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, our job as the prophets and the men of the Lord is to go out here to the streets and teach the word. Okay? All right? Our job is to push out the vibration of Yahweh Shem Shai on the earth in righteousness as opposed to wickedness. Okay? We're doing a good thing. Okay? The scripture says that this thing that we do is a reasonable service. But the fact that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that are in this truth stand up for themselves, they want to label it extremism. They want to label what we do as terrorist acts. Okay, which is against the Most High Himself. He's against the society. So our job as the prophets of the Lord is to prophesy what the Most High said. Okay. Now I have this article from Independent. Okay, and basically what this is just another deceptive ploy to basically eventually come against us. Okay, but I'm gonna read the headline and I'm gonna go into it. All right, and it reads: FBI warns of new threat of black identity extremism. Okay, the FBI warns of new threat of black identity extremism. Now, for so long, the so-called blacks, I just say that, just for the sake of the article, so-called blacks in America have been disenfranchised and labeled many different things throughout American history, from Negroes to African Americans to blacks. Okay, so it says that the fact that blacks having an identity or identifying themselves as someone is a threat to their society. Now, the main thing starting in this truth, ultimately, we identify ourselves as not black because we're not black. Number one, black is a color. Okay. All right. And that's one thing that people got to understand. Call themselves black. Black is a totally different color than what we are, than what we appear to be. We're a dark brown or a light brown people. Okay, so that's one error. Okay, but the point is, Esau, the so-called white man, this government is labeling the fact that blacks march and protest and things like that as extremism, and that it's a threat to their new world order, really. Okay, so it says underneath the headline is subtitle. It says it appears to be a newly invented term, and it is newly invented. Esau has something called newspeak, which basically they take old terms and they twist they disregard the etymology of words, and they take certain terms and they twist it to suit their agenda. For example, being gay. Being gay is an old English word that just means to be happy. Okay? If you're happy, you're gay. The scripture talks about a man wearing gay clothing. You don't give the greatest seat to him and leave the poor man with a subpar clothing, okay, on the floor. You can't show favor to any man. There's no respect to persons. That's in the scriptures about gay clothing. But Esau takes that and he labels a particular abominable group of people homosexuals, okay, and because they want to love who they want to love, they're happy, so now they're gay. You know what I'm saying? But You know, so Esau, he's constantly coming up with these terms and these different things because he's making up these unrighteous decrees as he go. Okay? So I'm going to get into the article. I don't want to ramble too much, but I want to bring out this point. All right? It says here, the FBI has declared that black identity extremism is a violent threat in the U.S. according to a leaked report. Okay? And they say it's a violent threat. But I myself have yet to see any of these Black Lives Matter Negroes out here just go out all crazy and kill and shoot people. And it's the police officers doing that. It's the government. It's the state law enforcers that's coming against the people. Okay? Anyway, it says this. The document obtained by Foreign Policy is dated August 2017. So this is recent, Slovakia. And written by the Domestic Terrorism Analysis Unit within the Bureau. So they're constantly keeping tabs on the so-called blacks in this country. And of course the Native Americans and Hispanics as well. Okay? All the 12 tribes of Israel, the true Israelites, they're keeping tabs on what they're doing. Okay? It says it read, the FBI assesses it is very likely black identity extremist perceptions of police brutality against African Americans spurred an increase in premeditated, retaliatory, lethal violence against law enforcement and will very likely serve as justification for such violence. So what they're saying here is the fact that these cops shoot these so-called young black men down in the streets, and the fact that they get off, that's something for these different black so-called black extremist groups to actually come up with a plan to come against law enforcement. Okay, which a lot of these guys that do come against, it's all set up. Everything is set up. Just like this thing in Las Vegas, that's all fake, man. Okay, I highly believe that's all fake and that's set up, and that's just to further justify, you know, gun confiscation laws, martial law, and ultimately things like this, to where they have to constantly do studies on who's a domestic terrorist and who's not. Okay. You have here, you got this news, Russia's bought Facebook ads targeting Black Lives Matter. All this is set up, man. But anyway, it says the FBI wrote that alleged police abuse is what has continued to feed the resurgence in ideologically motivated violent criminal activity within the BIE movement. Esau's constantly coming up with things, man. It says around 750 people have been shot and killed by police thus far in 2017, and almost 170 of them were African American. The actual label of BIE appears to be an invented one. Just like African American was invented, black was invented, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Native American, all that was invented. Okay? Michael German, a former FBI agent and now Brennan Center fellow, told the outlet basically it's black people who scare them. And that's true. Okay? That's true. The so-called white man is scared of the Israelite man. Okay? The so-called black man waking up to the fact that he's an Israelite. Okay? And that he's going to do something to bring down this power structure. Which is why they target these different groups, okay, protest groups, I'll say, and lump all so-called blacks together, okay, because ultimately they're going to declare martial law and come against us, okay. So it says a former senior counterterrorism and intelligence official from the Department of Homeland Security reviewed the report for the news outlet and said BIE is a new umbrella designation that has no basis. There are civil rights and privacy issues all over this. And no matter how much these guys study these things and bring out this information, the top elite don't care what they find. They're going to do what they want to do to bring about their agenda, man. And that's to issue this microchip, enslave everybody, and then systematically kill off the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American if they could. Okay? because they want to destroy the Israelites and keep the birthright of the rulership of this planet to themselves. But it won't be so. Okay? That's why really the Hebrew Israelites are a threat. Okay? The 12-page report points to the 2014 shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, as well as the grand jury decision not to indict the police officer who shot the unarmed teenager as a sort of catalyst. All right. It says his death spurred an increase in premeditated retaliatory lethal violence against law enforcement and will very likely serve as justification for such violence. So this is why they came up with this report. The fact that he shoot these different Jakes down, that's a cause for different so-called blacks to get together, form a group, protest, and ultimately come against the society. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down here. It says, Donald Trump was heavily criticized for not immediately denouncing the hate groups. And though he did so later, he maintained his conviction that many sides were responsible for the violence. And he's speaking about what happened there in Charlottesville, Virginia, about a month and a half back. Okay. So it says here that activists fear that the Trump administration's influence over the Bureau is outlined in this document and that BIE would be used to justify arresting or prosecuting civil rights protesters. And that's what it is. Okay? It's going to be used, this BIE label is going to be used to go after the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Let alone Black Lives Matter and all the rest of these different groups. Okay? That they're labeling. Okay? The true people of the Lord, the prophets and the men of the Lord that's out there in the highways and byways teaching this word. Okay? We're going to be targeted for teaching this word and for telling the truth about this world and how the Most High and His Son Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to come back and rule the earth as he should. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to get a scripture real quick. All right, let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 10 and 1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And that unrighteous decree is this FBI report and this label of black identity extremism, whatever it's called. They're going to use that, okay, to justify coming against the men of the Lord, to start arresting protesters and because it's going to be a snowball effect. A lot of protesters and these different people that are part of Black Lives Matter, when martial law is declared, they're going to get their doors kicked in too. Okay? But best believe that they have a special force that's going to come against the men of the Lord. But that's when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to make his move. Okay? So the Most High says destruction unto them that make these laws and pass these decrees that are to come against the men of that's pushing his word. Okay? It says woe unto them, destruction to them that decree unrighteous decrees. That's unrighteous to label us as black. Okay? Like I said, we're not black. So you so-called blacks and Hispanics, so-called, get that out of your head. Okay? Understand, right? That you're a Hebrew Israelite. Okay? It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Okay? Because these things are all pre-written down and prescribed, okay, to basically when the time comes, after the created event happens, they'll be justified in coming against you. Okay? Now, when you go to the book of Jeremiah, I believe it's 40. Excuse me real quick. Jeremiah. Matter of fact, it might be Isaiah. Alright. when you go into the book of Isaiah, excuse me 1 second. Matter of fact, I'll just type it in. Alright, excuse me 1 second. Here we go. This is Isaiah 45:4. It says, "For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me." So the Most High surnamed us and gave us the name, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He gave us the name Israel. That's our name. We were never identified by color. That's the label that the so-called white man put upon us, okay, to keep us far away from our heritage. It says, "I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me." Right? "I am Yahweh, and there is none else. There is no power beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me." Okay? And that's the truth, because the so-called white man kept us from our heritage. Okay? And now that the fact that we're waking up, number one, we're waking up to the injustices of this society once again. Because scripture talks about Judah crouched down as a lion, as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? Well, the Most High is putting the spirit on Jake to start protesting and rising up against this society, and that's prophecy, right? But the Most High says, okay, he also says that when when the government comes against us, he's going to lift up a standard, man. Okay. Because ultimately they want to come against the prophets of the Lord. This is Isaiah 59:19. It says, "So shall they fear the name of the Lord, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, from the west." And we're in the western hemisphere as opposed to being in the east, in the Middle East, in Jerusalem, as we once were. Right? "And his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood via their stormtroopers and martial law troops." All right? "The spirit of the Lord, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, shall lift up a standard against them." Because the men of the Lord, we're going to get spiritual power from on high to defeat our enemies. Okay? To defeat the so-called white man. Protesting and marching, that's not going to do it, man. As you can see, they're coming with they're coming out with guns and battle armor. Okay? Pepper spray and all of that. You niggas got signs and throwing your hands up. It's your belief in the spirit of the Lord that's what's gonna lift up a standard against this man. Okay? And no, you can't come with guns, because that's his power. That's the so-called white man's blessing. Okay? The Lord's gonna lift up a standard against the so-called white man via spiritual power. Okay? One more thing I wanted to get was this here, man. Now this here is Project Megiddo, which is a government document, which brothers know about this. But as you can see, you have different groups labeled that are to be identified and what's to be known as different terrorist groups. You got Christian identity, which is why they came against the KKK and that whole thing in Charlottesville happened. You got white supremacy, which that's white supremacy, that's KKK and all of that. Christian identity, malicious, so-called black Hebrew Israelites, apocalyptic cults. Okay. I'm gonna read this here. It says for over 1,000 years, for over 4,000 years, Megiddo. Matter of fact, because it talks about, I'm I'm going to read this here from the executive summary. It says the year 2000, because this was an old document, but believe it's updated to August 2017 at this point. It says it's being discussed and debated at all levels of society. Most of the discussions regarding this issue, I'm gonna blow it up, regarding this issue revolve around the topic of technology and our society's overwhelming dependence on the multitude of computers and computer chips, right? Because they're going to bring the microchip to usher in their society this new world order to put people in slavery, right? It says which make our world run smoothly. However, the upcoming millennium also holds important implications beyond the issue of computer technology. Many extremist individuals and groups place some significance on the next millennium, and as such, it will present challenges to law enforcement at many levels. The significance is based primarily upon either religious beliefs relating to the apocalypse, which is we believe in the Bible, the scriptures, and that Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, will end the so-called white man's rule, as the scriptures and the prophecy states. It says, or political beliefs relating to the New World Order conspiracy theory. The challenge is how well law enforcement will prepare and respond. And that's why they make these different reports like this, okay? Go back up. FBI warns of new threat of black identity extremism. So understand, brothers, that that this is just the beginning, okay? All right? We're not to be concerned with what's going on with these different so-called black protesters and Black Lives Matter and all of that. But understand that the so-called white man is preparing to come down and persecute us. But like I just read in the scriptures, the Lord is going to lift up a standard, a spiritual standard against this man to bring him down. We just got to remain faithful and do as we're told and stay in order. All right? So with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone, peace and blessings to the elect. Stay strong, stay faithful. Persecution is coming, but Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai will deliver us out of all our troubles. Shalom.